Again, last night, early this morning, at approximately 1:15 a.m., Lake County Sheriff's deputies responded to an address in the 17600 block of Edwards Road in Old Mill Creek for a report of shots fired. The information, the 911 caller was the homeowner. He indicated that he went outside because there were several people at his residence attempting to break into a vehicle and he believed steal a vehicle. Sheriff's deputies arrived on the scene. However, all of the individuals who had previously been there in a 2011 Lexus SUV had already fled from the scene. His sheriff's deputies were initiating their investigation at this scene, referenced the shots fired and the potential stolen vehicle. Gurnee police, just approximately 3 miles down the road, were investigating a traffic crash in the area of Grand Avenue and Hunt Club Road. As they were investigating this traffic crash, the Lexus SUV pulled up to the scene. 2 individuals exited that SUV. One individual had a gunshot wound to his head area. The other individual had been calling for help, asking the Gurnee police officer for help. The Gurnee police officer immediately began first aid, called for an ambulance, and attended to the person with the gunshot wound. 4 individuals who remained in the Lexus fled the scene at a high rate of speed. Gurnee police officers initially gave chase as the vehicle entered 94 and traveled east or southbound towards the city of Chicago. Gurnee police were soon joined by Lake County Sheriff's deputies in the pursuit of this Lexus and Illinois State Troopers. The pursuit went all the way into the city of Chicago, into the area of Halstead and Randolph. The Illinois State Police pursued, Lake County Sheriff's Office pursued to that point. Speeds in this pursuit did reach up to 120 miles an hour as the Lexus was fleeing. The only reason the Lexus stopped, we found out later, was because it ran out of gas, and that's when the 4 individuals fled from the vehicle in the area of Randolph and Halstead. 3 individuals from this car were taken into custody pretty quickly by Illinois State Troopers that were on the scene. Chicago Police Department also did respond and assisted at the scene. There was 1 individual who did initially get away. What we've learned to this point, and I ask that you remember this is preliminary information, we're reporting it as the information comes into us. The shooting victim has been identified as a 14-year-old male of Chicago. His name is being withheld at this point until an autopsy is conducted on him, which is scheduled to take place by the Lake County coroner tomorrow. A 17-year-old male was taken into custody in Gurnee at the crash scene. The 75-year-old homeowner on Edwards indicated he went outside to investigate why there was a vehicle on his driveway at approximately 1:15 in the morning. As he went outside, he believed that the individuals that were there at his house were attempting to steal a vehicle. He was armed with a small caliber revolver. The homeowner indicated that as he was standing on his porch, there were 2 male individuals who quickly approached him on his property at his porch. One of those individuals was holding something in his hand. The 75-year-old homeowner indicated that out of fear for his safety and his wife's safety, he discharged his firearm. What we've determined is one of the rounds that was discharged from his firearm did strike this 14-year-old male in the head. The individual, the homeowner, called 911 immediately following the shooting to report the incident and request an ambulance for the young man who was shot. Following the pursuit, a 16-year-old male, a 17-year-old male, and an 18-year-old female were the 3 that were taken into custody pretty quickly by the Illinois State Police. The individual who did initially escape was a 17-year-old male. Lake County Sheriff's Deputy John Ferlenza and K-9 Dax responded to Halstead and Randolph and conducted a track looking for this 4th individual who ran from the car. They tracked for about a block to the 100 block of Green Street, where Dax strongly indicated on a dumpster which was in the roadway. As Dax indicated on the dumpster, Chicago police officers looked in the dumpster and were able to locate the 17-year-old male. He had buried himself in trash and garbage in an attempt to hide and not be discovered. However, K-9 Dax did locate him. He was taken into custody. So all of the individuals involved are currently at the Sheriff's Office. We're continuing the investigation. We have numerous detectives that are working on this investigation, numerous evidence technicians. It should be noted that there was a Bowie-style knife that was located at the scene, which we believe was likely from one of the individuals that was on the property unlawfully on Edwards. So I ask that you hold your question just for a few minutes. I'm going to turn this over to Sheriff Eidelberg just for a few words.
Tragedy for the family and friends of the deceased. Our condolence goes out to the family of the young man who lost his life today. I want to talk about the law enforcement partnership that helped us apprehend these 4 individuals as quickly as possible and making our community safe. I want to thank the Gurnee Police Department, the Illinois State Police, and the Chicago Police Department for their partnership with us, and thank the Lake County Major Crime Task Force for their technical support at the scene of the incident. Thank you.
Yes, the Lexus was reported stolen 2 days ago on the 11th out of Wilmette. So we are working with Wilmette detectives to try to determine the circumstances behind that theft, but it is confirmed stolen out of Wilmette.
Was the 14-year-old who was shot, was he one of the 2 people approaching the man with the knife, or do you know that?
The preliminary information we have suggests that. The evidence at the scene does suggest that he was out of the car approaching the male. Yes.
How many shots did the man fire?
The man fired several shots. We're still accounting for rounds, but it's safe to say more than 3.
Did the teen that was shot in the head, did he get shot in the head while he was back in that stolen vehicle, or did he get shot while he was still on the property?
It appears that the teen that was shot, he was shot prior to entering the vehicle while he was still on foot.
What's the status of the 75-year-old?
The 75-year-old male, he is a valid FOID card holder. He is a valid concealed carry holder. He was legally allowed to possess those weapons on his property. He is cooperating with the investigation moving forward, and we have been speaking with him since the incident.
Do you believe that he was targeted, or they just randomly picked that home in that rural area?
Based on the information we're receiving back, it looks like this was a random theft of a motor vehicle that was going to occur at that residence. It's a little too early to talk about justification. When we complete and compile all of the facts of this investigation, we will sit down with the Lake County State's Attorney's Office, and they will ultimately make the decision on who is charged, if anyone is charged, and what they're charged with. Possible charges, I mean, that leads me to speculate a little bit, but there are a number of possible charges that they could face, but again, that's a decision that will be made after all the facts and evidence come out and we're able to sit down with the Lake County State's Attorney's Office.
How many vehicles were pursuing? Because I think first sees 120 miles an hour.
I don't have the exact number. There were a number of state police troopers that were involved in the pursuit. We had several deputies that were involved in the pursuit. And anytime we're pursuing a vehicle, especially at such high rates of speed, one of the constant evaluations that our staff is making is, do the risks of the pursuit outweigh the apprehension of the offenders? In this case, we had what appeared to be a young man with a gunshot wound to the head, and his body was left there at a busy intersection. So in this case, those factors did outweigh the risk of the pursuit.